Hello and welcome to another episode of Creating Cultures that Outperform. Lately we've been covering so many different topics. I hope you've been tuning in. Last week we started going over experiments and research. I hope you've had a chance to take a look at that. This week we're going to be doing a very important episode on the art of persuasive leadership. What leader doesn't need more influence and persuasive capability in this era? It is probably more important than almost any other skill because, bossing people around, telling them what to do, ordering them, go do that is very ineffective. But if you're persuasive and can motivate them, make them feel good about what they're doing and actually do it of their own volition, now you've got passionate workers. Maybe you've got passionate coworkers who are willing to go along with your ideas. So today we'll take a look at the research and science behind this. It's famous, quite honestly, although unless you're in marketing, you may never have seen it. And so I'd like to introduce my absolute co-host, the best, Terri Mays. Terri?
Hello, everybody. We're glad to have you on the show with us. Please make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. We put this content out. We enjoy doing it, and we hope that you're getting something out of it.
Yes, absolutely. Don't forget to smack the bell and subscribe on YouTube. We've got a wealth of videos out there, really interesting information. You can learn, get a PhD in, the social sciences they apply to the workplace. By going through that, we've covered so much. We went into belonging in depth. We've gone into a variety of different experiments over time. We've gone into the human factors of leadership, looked at lots of different things I think that are very interesting. So, certainly dig in. We did a series recently on, how to create a culture that outperforms without burning people out. How do you do that? And that's something everybody should think about and be aware of. So today we're going to talk about the art of persuasion. And we're going to be covering, if you haven't seen it, actually this book right here, Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion. This is by Robert Cialdini. It's been around for a long time. It became a Bible in marketing departments. People have looked at this for years, but these apply to just everyday life. And they're proven. They've sold over 5 million copies of this book. And there was an original book, which was 6 factors. Now he's got 7 in the more updated version. You can certainly download this, get a Kindle. And I think you would just really enjoy digging into this. So I'll stop my share there. Terri, before we tee up our very first factor, what would you like to say?
Well, I think that these factors of influence that we're going to be talking about, they're really not just about being, how can you apply them to sales? So although this came from the sales and marketing world, we want to challenge you to think about this as being an influential leader. How can you be more persuasive in your leadership? Not manipulation. So I think there's a fine line between trying to understand the psychology of people to manipulate people to get them to do what you want them to do versus influencing them, where the motive is where the difference is. So when people are influenced, they are making that decision on their own and they're choosing to do something for a greater good versus somebody that's been manipulated or guilted into doing something where they don't feel good about it, but they're doing it because they feel guilty or they feel like, somebody is going to hold something against them or there's some kind of repercussions or something like that. So as a leader, remember a lot of what comes across in your leadership style is dependent on how you make people feel. So as you're interacting with people, they're going to feel something from you, and you want them to always feel like you're motivating and encouraging and not manipulating.
Yeah, great points. As always, Terri. So look, let's go hear it from Robert Cialdini himself. I'm going to go into share screen mode. We'll go right here to this video. We'll go full screen. Oh no, I wasn't full screen. How do you like that? So let's listen to the first one, reciprocity.
Reciprocation. People want to give back to us what we have first given to them. They say yes to those they owe. So we should put ourselves in a position of giving benefits, giving advantages, giving information, giving a positive mood first, and it will come back to us.
So there we go. The first rule of influence, reciprocity. So, how do you really make sure that you're doing and taking care of your people and those people around you? And this is where helping behaviors come in and doing things for other people, looking out for their best interest. They want to go along. They don't want to, humans don't want to feel indebted. They use this in all kinds of marketing for nonprofits. They'll send you something in the mail and people immediately want to reciprocate. Even though it's just a little token, maybe it's a little bag with the name on it. People are sending mailing labels for years, makes people feel very indebted. And therefore they want to do something. They don't want to feel indebted, so they reciprocate. And, it's a powerful form of influence. It's used in everyday life all over. But how can you apply that as a leader? How are you taking care of your folks and doing things so in a crunch, they're really going to be there? Or when you are promoting something new for the organization, they're going to go along and help be an ambassador and co-promote it just automatically because you've already been helping them.
That's right. People have to know that you care. And we've talked about this many times before, but caring and really taking care of people opens the door for them to bring their whole self. So they are really much more likely to support and engage, be fully engaged with leaders when they feel like the leader cares and when the leader is really doing something for them and not just waiting for something to be done for them. When leaders reach out and make that extra step and that effort to do something first and show that goodwill first, to let your people know that you're there for them, that you've got their back. And it can't just be something you say. It's not just, I'm saying these words that I have an open door policy, but when someone comes in, I'm screaming and yelling that they've interrupted my day. It has to be genuine. It has to be that you really do have the open door policy and people can see that when they experience you as a leader. What kind of experience do you want people to have? We think about customer experience and, these days social media is just king when it comes to that. One bad review can just tank your product. But what kind of reviews are people giving you as a person, as a leader? They're having an experience with you. Are they having a positive experience, a positive interaction? Or are they walking away from this experience with you, giving you 1 star?
Yeah. So remember that reciprocity, what goes around comes around. Do you have your people's back? Are you looking out for their best interest? You're going to have more influence if you are, especially if you're a coworker. You don't even have to be a leader, but if you're a coworker who never helps anybody or does anything, you're going to have no influence.
That's right.
It's really just that simple. So
you're going to have 1-star reviews.
1-star reviews. Absolutely. So let's go take a look at the next one. Okay. So number 2.
Influences the persuasion process, and that is liking. We prefer to say yes to those people we like. But there are a couple of easily implemented concepts, similarity and compliments, that allow us to generate a much more positive feeling of rapport with the people around us. If we point out our similarities to them, if we give them genuine praise where it's deserved, we supercharge the liking process.
Okay, so supercharging the liking process. People want to do business with people they like. No question. That's true of marketing. People want to work for people they like. And they're much more likely to go along with things that you're promoting in the office or the workplace if they actually have a genuine sense of rapport and they like you. And we've talked on so many episodes about the need to, build relationships, this whole notion of leadership influence. What can you do with it? How do you create a caring culture, a sense of belonging? These things really, really matter. They're very important, and they start to give you more influence. And this has been proven time and time again. Marketers do it. That's why brand matters so much. But Terri, go on. What's your brand, right?
That's right. what are people seeing from you consistently? You know, what are some of the things that you do when people aren't looking? What are some of the things that you say, or how do you interact with people that you think aren't important, so to speak? They're not
Mhm.
the manager, they're not the president, they're not the vice president. How do you treat the people that you come in contact with that are cleaning the building? You know, those
Yeah.
things really reflect who you really are. And people see you when you think that nobody is watching, somebody is always watching.
Oh man, they are. Oof.
Yeah,
Yeah,
somebody will catch you in the middle of something every single time. So that really, it leaves an impression with people. How you respond to other people. If I see my manager talking down or putting down or belittling another employee, then I'm gonna look at him in a different way or look at her in a different way, and it will cause me to have maybe a little bit more apprehension when I'm dealing with them. So you really do have to realize what you're doing and the impact that you're having on people.
yeah, big time. So super important, right? Do people actually genuinely like you? Do you genuinely like them? Have you built an environment where you're building relationships that are based on being authentic, real? And that's
Mhm.
why this whole notion of building a caring culture, being a caring leader. So your influence is one that's really creating strong relationships and bonds with the people you work for. They got to know you have their back every step of the way, and you've got to do things that make people want to like you and trust you.
Yeah.
So
If
let's
you don't like that person, is as a leader, you don't like your leader, it's just human nature to not want to connect and be around that person. We just genuinely like being around people where we feel like they're life-giving, they're encouraging, they're uplifting. Like, nobody is going around looking for the person that's the sourpuss. Oh, yeah, that's the person I wanna hang around all day. No, those are the people you're trying to avoid like the plague.
big time. Okay, so let's go here. Number 3 from Robert Cialdini himself.
Want to follow the lead of many others, many comparable others, people who are similar to them and around them. If those people are moving in a particular direction, that's a good signal that that's probably a good direction for us to move to. So any communicator who can give us that information, that what they have is the most popular or is trending in a particular direction, they will grab our attention and probably our dollars.
Okay, so here's the next one, social proof. That means you've got to build allies for the things you want to do in an organization. You got to get other people talking about it. When we're going through the human factors of leadership, one of the episodes was about this guy who starts dancing. I forget the name of it, and he's alone.
Yeah.
And it's really when the second person comes in that he starts to get credibility. And then finally a third, and then the flood starts because people are looking for that social proof. So when you want influence, you're promoting ideas, you've got to get those social proof points as a leader. Right away, they do that in marketing, they do it on every website. This is really important. It really matters. And you can do that. Think about this stuff consciously. It's super
Yeah.
important.
You can think about things. I love handbags. It's just one of my favorite things to purchase, handbags and shoes. Those are just kind of my things. But there are some times where, the handbag is really not the nicest one. It's not the best well-made one. It's not the prettiest one. But sometimes, if the right person is carrying that handbag will become a trendy item that everybody wants to purchase. Whether or not it's good
Yep.
is irrelevant. Everybody wants to have that it item. And that is very true of just people in general, not just as it relates to handbags with me and fashion, but people want to be around people that feel like, oh, they are offering me something that's good. It's good quality, that people want to have it. It's like almost like a scarcity thing. And I know he's going to talk about this, but nobody wants something in abundance that everybody has. Nobody is walking around saying, I want to buy the car that everybody has. I want to buy the items that everybody has in that way. You want to have something that's unique to you that you can say, oh, I've got this limited edition, or, other people are saying that it's a good thing. So you really do have to think about that when you're a leader. Do you have some people that can validate what you're saying and mention that, and let it be some people that other people like? So you can get double bang for your buck. We just talked about liking, but if you can get somebody that other people like to agree with you on some of the things that you're working on, to say, hey, this is the direction we need to go in. You can get some early adopters in any changes that you're implementing. You can actually use these principles and compound their effect by bringing them together.
Oh, yeah. You can look and understand who the key influencers are in an organization. They use it in marketing all the time. They'll get Hollywood personalities, different figures of authority, and that halo of them talking about the product makes people really feel comfortable with it. Well, you could do that in an organization. There are people who are key influencers. You can get them to get up and speak about why the direction you're going really matters. This is going to get you buy-in. That's part of the social proof process. The more people talking about what it is you're going to do validates the whole concept, and it gets people involved. So, keep these concepts in mind when you're leading.
Yes.
Let's go on to the next one. We'll get this right up and running. Here we go. Authority, which hopefully you have as a leader.
People want to follow the lead of true experts. So if we can hook our ideas to the voices of genuine authorities on the topic with testimonials and so on, we will have enhanced the influence process in our direction.
So that's pretty straightforward, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. And, you can see that everywhere, right? You go to any website, you'll see all the social proofs that are up there. When people build websites, they're always looking to get some kind of authority going, as a leader, hopefully you've built some authority, because you automatically have it if you've got that credibility and strategic trust in the organization. And you can use that to your advantage as you begin to roll out new strategies, get people to buy in to work on big projects. Okay. Terri, anything you want to add on that?
No, this goes back to with that trusting and liking. Authority, when you hear from someone that you trust, you feel like I can respect and trust what this person is saying, it goes a long way.
Yep. Sure does. Moving on with Mr. Cialdini. Here we go.
People want to be consistent with what they have already committed themselves to. Well, what's a commitment? In academic language, a commitment is what we have already said or done, especially in public. When we've done that, if somebody can ask us to take a step that they recognize is congruent with that, what we've already said or done, we're much more likely to leap in that direction and continue to be congruent.
So there's something that's very important. Get people to commit to a small step first. Don't have them take that gigantic leap, because if they commit to something small now, they're much more likely to go along with the big idea. And sometimes, this is why trials and tests and other things work, because they're getting committed in an easy way. And you're exerting intelligent influence over them. Doesn't mean they are going to go along, but at least you're using human psychology in a way that you're creating real followers for what has to happen in the organization.
I think he brings up a really good point about consistency. There's something that we all can relate to. You go to a Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A in Alabama, California, Tennessee, Florida, no matter where you are, you're going to hear that iconic phrase, "It's my pleasure."
Yeah.
Because they are consistent. The chicken quality is going to be the same. The menu is going to be the same. Like, there's just some consistencies that you're going to see across the board with, how they do business. And that is the same kind of consistency that people look for in their leaders. So if I come to you today and you have a great attitude, you're positive, you're encouraging, and then I come to you tomorrow and you're a sourpuss and you're down in the dumps and you don't want to talk to anybody, like, if you're not being consistent with how you interact with me, then that's going to cause me to pause and maybe think about how I'm interacting with you. So consistency is such a big part in helping people make those connections, making people feel like they can add value and that you are adding value to them, that you really do care. All of that is just so important. And it seems like such a simple thing of, just being consistent in how you interact with people and allowing people to make those commitments. But
Yes,
it really matters.
As a leader, that notion that you're predictable, they know who they're going to be talking to when they go in to meet with you, that you don't have these mood swings, that you have a set of principles you follow, that you're not person A today and you're a person who believes in something different tomorrow. You're predictable, you're consistent. Humans need consistency so they can kind of predict the future of what's going to happen. They need that. So marketers have used that for years. All right, let's get this next one teed up here. Okay, let's hear from Mr. Cialdini again. All right, scarcity. I think this is one that is so well known.
Or of those things they can have less of. So if we can show people that what we have is limited or dwindling in availability, or even if it's not, if it's just something that is unique, something that is uncommon, that they can't get anywhere else, now we have the winds of scarcity in our sails, moving us forward towards success.
Okay, scarcity. I don't think there's a marketing thing you can go to where they're not promoting like for a limited time only.
Yeah.
Stock, right? I mean,
it's 1995 for one day only.
Yeah, next 2 hours. Oh no.
1995, 3 days later. Yeah, this idea that you have something unique to offer as an individual, it just rings true. Everybody has something that they bring to the table. And if you can tap into that and recognize that we are individuals uniquely made, each of us has something different that we can bring, and we can use those differences to help us and not divide us. It's easy to look at a situation or look at a person and look at all the differences and let that be a separating factor. But if you can, as a leader, bring those differences together and leverage each other so that you can use the strengths of one to help the other, you begin to really see some great things happen on your team in terms of productivity.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm teeing up the next one here. So getting ready to go. But let's move on to the next one. I think this is so fascinating because very few people look at this as science.
Yeah.
Really to master this is not very difficult. You can think about it. You can keep these 7 persuasive techniques there and use them in a very credible way with integrity to help move the organization forward by getting buy-in. And you should think of it that way as a leader or a coworker. Coworkers with influence can get a tremendous amount done in the organization. Okay. Right. Now we move on to unity.
That you mentioned, the principle of unity. The idea that people want to say yes to those individuals who are of them. That is, one of them. Right? If you can convince me to say to my fellow group members, oh, not just Roger is like us, but Roger is one of us, all the barriers to influence come down for you at that point, because we now want to be cooperative with you. We want to be helpful to you. We want to say yes to you. We want to like you. All of those positive characteristics now apply to you if we can see you as one of us. So, for example,
I think people get that. But look, I mean, you've got to actually be on the team for real. You can't be separate from everybody. You got to be on the team. You got to be playing the same game by the same rules. You've got to be one of these people that fits into the organization. And that's why it's important to build really deep relationships, spend time with people. If you can get people organized, if you're actually in the office, to go out and experience some social time together. That's going to break down all these walls and barriers. And certainly, look, if you're the leader, it's one thing. If you're a coworker, absolutely, on the team, be one of the team, fit in. It's just super important. And that's why this whole notion of cultural fit became such a big deal, because people who don't fit in, they only have no influence, and they're going to end up being relatively unhappy. Let's face it.
Yeah. You want to be around people that you feel like you have something in common with that person. You can make a connection with that person. So as a leader, you want people to see you as a human, that they don't just see you as part of them, the leadership, the machine, the man that's making us do all these things.
Yeah.
You want people to humanize you, and you want people to be able to make connections with you. And one of the very easy ways you can do that is by sharing your personal story. So you can share how you got to the position that you have. You can share things about your family. You don't have to share intimate details, but let people know that you're married and you have children. If you have grandchildren, things about yourself, what your hobbies are, what you like to do, what you don't like to do, all of those things just humanize you in a way that helps people make connections with you. And when people can make connections with you, they start to feel like, oh, this change that they're asking me to make, they're making this change too. They're in the same boat with me. Everybody wants to feel like, we're all in this together. And it's not just, okay, you have to do it, but I'm exempt because I'm a leader. No, the leader really has to be the one setting the pace and leading first to do it.
Yeah, 100%. And, this goes for team building too. If you want to build a great team, everybody on the team should share their personal story with everybody else. And that gives more points of connection for people to really connect with and build those stronger bonds and relationships. So it works. If you've never done it, try it. It is very powerful. But this notion of unity and everybody, really fitting in is going to give you a lot more influence. I think there's no explanation needed to try to say, hey, this is science. It's proven. This is beyond science. This is actually in everyday life. This is being used all the time. And time and again, companies show that this has real power. Individuals use it. And you should think about this. Try to figure out how you can use some of these techniques to get done more of what you got to get done, to have more influence where it really matters, and do it in an authentic and honest way. Act with integrity. You're going to get pretty far.
Yes, authentic. That is the key word here. You cannot influence people by manipulating them or being fake and phony. You really do have to have some level of authenticity about who you are and what you stand for, because that comes across in how you interact with people.
Oh, big time. So, look, I hope you enjoyed this episode on, the art of persuasive leadership. I think you can really become much more persuasive. Next week, we're going to cover another research topic. It may be an experiment, maybe just a research topic. That hasn't been chosen yet, but we'll be back with something very interesting. And we hope you can join us Wednesdays live, where we cover very interesting topics on these human factors of leadership and creating cultures that outperform. There's a science behind all of it. You should know it. People are the most important tool in every company, and you must create an organization that outperforms without burning people out. This is how you do it, by getting buy-in. That's one of the key techniques, quite honestly. So they're not being forced to do something they don't want to do. So listen, hope to see you next week, 3:00. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you there.
Yes. Bye for now.